Hello, guys. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I want to look at something that has happened around 1 month ago. That 50% of university students are using drugs. This is a report that was given out by the standard newspaper that approved or they did a research and agreed. It's very true that 50% of university students, including college students, are on drugs. It's something that got shocked. It's a news that it was shocking news to the parents, to the public, to even the civil servants of this country. How comes that we have 50% of students using drugs? The most preferred drug, they said, was bangi and the cocaine, and others were abusing alcohol. Guys, whether you like it or not, that is the truth of the matter. Most of university students in this country are abusing drugs. But who do you blame? The government, parents, the society, or you blame the students alone? Here today, I want to look at, without any blame, I want to understand why these university students are using drugs. You will either agree with me that it is your responsibility, either as a parent, as a student alone, and as a society, as a member of the society, that you have a role to play to help these students from abusing drugs. Abusing drugs as an early age. Most of the university students are at early 20s, the age of early 20s. This is going to affect them in their life. Remember the government, remember the parents, the guardians have invested a lot of money, have invested a lot of resources for these students, for them to have a bright future. But in the real sense, is this the product the students going to get? So, one reason why university students are abusing drugs is what? Look, let's start from the family setup. When these students are joining universities, they are coming from a family. How is that family? Most of the time, if that family has exposed students or has exposed children to drugs, the likelihood of that students going to abuse drug when in university is almost 100%. When you are at home or when you are doing ceremonies at home, you are using alcohol, you are abusing cigarettes, you are using bangi. The possibility of that student going to use it in university is 100%. Why? Sometimes that kid of yours will fear using drugs when you are around as a parent or as a guardian. But remember the freedom in universities. Remember that freedom in the universities. Nobody is seeing them. They have all the reasons. They have made new friends. So therefore, they will likely use drugs. Also, if a family is dysfunctional, is not functioning, in that you cannot guide your kid, your child, you cannot guide your child as a united family, then that student, that kid is going to use drugs in the campus. So look at it. Are you the problem here? Do you expose your kids early to drugs when using them at home? Now he gets freedom and is going to abuse them. So sometimes don't blame anybody. Another reason why university students are using drugs is the availability of them. When you go to universities, unlike in high schools, bars or restaurant bars, especially bars, are not near, are not any near high school buildings. They are around. It's almost 1 kilometer away, or 1 kilometer to 500 meters away. But in universities, alcohol, bangi is available everywhere. Every university has what we call a student center where alcohol is sold, where cigarette is sold. Bang is available. Those vibandaski near universities sell drugs at a cheaper rate. At a cheaper rate, yes. Those kibandaski near universities have changa, which is sold cheaply. They have Moratina sold cheaply. They have Busa, which is sold cheaply. So the alcohol is the drugs are very available for these students to abuse. Look at here. I always see the government fighting drugs. Go to the villages, they pour down changa, busa, all that. Have you ever seen them going around the universities? They have never. Have you ever seen bank being, for example, a drug abuse campaign being done in universities? Are there some measures that are being used so that they can at least bar students for using drugs at a certain time? I was in Kenyatta University. You can walk into a student center in Kenyatta University as at 10 a.m. in the morning and buy alcohol and a drink while revising for an exam. So sad, but it's a reality. It happens. The universities have made alcohol to be very available for the students to abuse. So that's another reason that you cannot blame anybody. You cannot blame the government because alcohol is very available for these students. Another reason why the university students are abusing drugs is this thing called mental health issues. Yeah, psychological issues. Some students are stressed, have mental issues. And I want to say this. What happened in Kenya, when you pass exams in Kenya, you look as a person who has, you seem to a very successful person. Later than you know that there is a journey. Universities are looking jobs. Students of expect a lot when they go to universities. They think that they are above others. But when they join university, they find that there is a hard, the life there is very hard. They start getting depressed. They start getting stressed. As the universities or colleges, that's where you see people, you students of different kind. Others are from rich families, others are from poor families. And you find that those who are from poor backgrounds suffer. They start getting stressed. They hate the background that they come from. They start looking for ways of looking for more money so that they can fit the society. These students start getting depressed. Also, some students are unable to raise even school fees. Some years back, university education was very cheap, but nowadays in Kenya, university education is not that cheap. So you get that the students start getting depression. You cannot afford food, you cannot afford good clothing, you cannot pay school fees. Depression starts in. When these students are depressed, what happens? They look for a solution. Which solution? Drugs. They better drink and they sleep and they forget. This one uh, leads them to depression. So it's very important for the parents, to guardians, not to stop funding these students at high school. Continue getting them funds, support them financially, pay school fees, ensure that your girl or your boy is dressed well in high school, in the university, so that it cannot bring this depression. So that's another reason why these students are engaging into drug abuse or all these things that are affect them in universities. Another thing that is leading to them which is a very strong point, is peer pressure. actually is almost the main peer pressure. Give me myself as an example. When I joined the university around 20 years ago, I got new friends. These friends, I won't tell you that they influenced me. But sometimes I can say influence me, but also influence people. Because but before I joined universities, I used to drink. I was a drug addict as early as a young age. So I influenced some guys. Sometimes others did not want my company, but I influenced some. I want to say it without fear. I'm the one who was influencing some guys to continue drinking. We used to drink every Friday. The then that we used to changa some money. We have around 500. We are good to go. Tunachanga keg alafu tunakunywa. I used to make it a routine. Little did I know I was influencing some guys to alcohol. Others wengine hata hawakuwa wanajua, lakini walianza kukunywa juu ya story. So peer pressure is very high. Peer pressure. So I don't know. It's you need, as a parent, you need to talk to this kid all the time about peer pressure. Sometimes visit this boy, visit him or girl, visit him or her all the time in university. Make a promptu visit and see how does this guy stay. And this one will help at least know her friends, know his friends, know their friends. This can help. Peer pressure influences students a lot. High school, you had some limited freedom, but in university, there's no limitation of freedom. There you are exploring your life. So you meet these friends. If you are not stable enough, you'll be addicted with the drugs, and it's very hard for you to move out of that. Then, yeah, peer pressure, peer pressure. There's another thing is curiosity among students. These adolescents or teenagers, before they go to 20s, they are very curious. Curiosity. They want to know. They want to explore. Yeah. They want to test everything. How does this alcohol test? How does bangi? How do you feel when bangi? Uh, how do you feel when you use bangi? How do you feel when you use cocaine? Curious. Yeah, not wanting to know something you don't know. And this now depends on the personality of the student. If the students of that kid is able to say no, yeah, and this one depends on the moral teachings from the boy when he was young, the girl was young. How have you taught this guy? How have you taught this guy? How are the morals? How is how do you call it? Yeah, personality of that kid. Is it he or she is personally strong? If he or she is strong, then you're able to say no or yes and have a stand. But if not, that one will bring repercussions. Therefore, I want to say this, that the curiosity of these kids leads them to drugs. Wanataka uonze maisha, wasikie nini? Usiwaambie hapana. Hapana. They want to know. Mbona tuambie hapana? How does it test? Curiosity and exploration of these students makes them to be drug addicts. I want to tell that when I was in university, that's when I tested banky. I remember it was on how do you call it? We used to call it Talents Week, cultural week. So my friends come up. Me, I used to drink alcohol only. So when we start a certain area now, we are waiting for graduation to go. No, not graduation, for cultural week to go on, people to dance. So you sit there somewhere. So mimi nilikuwa na pombe yangu na kunywa pole pole. Then my friend told me, test this. Test this. This one is a nice one. Test it. So tukatest bangi hapo. Katest bangi hapo. That's the first time I tested bangi, by the way. Lakini, okay, I never got addicted to it because I never used to see, and haikuwa inanifurahisha. Mi kitu inanifurahisha sana ni pombe because nanifanya nalewa haraka. Na I hated smoking. In our culture, in the Kise culture, it's very hard to get people who are smoking. Unapata ni ngumu sana upate watu wanatumia sigara. It's actually smoking is not in our culture at all. Hakuna mahali smoking imetajwa ati wazee walikuwa wanakaa mahali wana smoke. Maybe that's why I was not engaged in smoking, because kusmoke hapana. Hata kwetu hakuko na mtu ana smoke, hata ziko hiyo na watu wana smoke. So I tested bangi because of curiosity. Inafanyanga aje? Kichwa kinafanya aje? But then what ended after kuonja hiyo bangi, let me tell you, we ended up in jail ya shule. Tulishikwa hapo tukapelekwa kwa cell ya shule hapo. Tukalala, but my friends wengine tulichanga do tukatolewa tena. Tulifungwa hapo because bangi is illegal or university. I don't know if it's illegal ama ni jamaa walikuwa wanataka kutukulia hapo, because hata wao walikuwa wamekaa wamevuta hizo bangi. Yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah, because of curiosity, I wanted to know what does this ina effect gani kwa maisha. Another one is societal influences. The society influences that. Look at the media, social media. The society influences sana. Look at the media. Advertisements on televisions about pombe, about pombe, sigara, all those things. Look at social media. Look at TikTok. How people expose, how people talk about alcohol, how people dance because they are drunk. Yeah, how Facebook, Instagram, all those, WhatsApp. When students see that one, they see that there's some happiness in taking these drugs. So the society also influences drug abuse a lot through social media, through media itself, the advertisements. So the students or the students here who are very curious, they want to know what usually happens. We want to know what happens. Therefore, they will be influenced to use these drugs, which is not good. There's a limitation. There should be a limitation on the use, on the advertisements of drugs and on social media, and also the use, because it's affecting the society. Another one is the lack of education. This one I call it ujinga. Sometimes ujinga unafanyanga watu watumie drugs. Students especially. But students, they don't know the effects. But they, as a students, you should know the effects of using alcohol. Usikuwe mjinga hivyo. Effects za kutumia bangi ni gani? Effects za kutumia sigara ni gani? Effects za kutumia mogoka all the time ni gani? You need to know the effects. So that usikae mjinga, so that when your friend is telling that tutumie mogoka leo, usikae mjinga mwenye hujui mogoka ni nini. You should be aware. You should be knowing that when I use this is their effects. When I use a lot of alcohol, this is what's going to affect. This is going to happen. So that you don't be, usianze kuwagi kutoka, yani usikuweka uko black aujui chenye kina happen. Are you getting it? Usikuwa mjinga yani. So pia ujinga unachangia wanafunzi kutumia is a drugs. Yeah. So as a student, this is for you, or as a parent, be able to educate. Wakati unampea msomo, wakati unamsomea kwa nyumba, wewe achana pombe, achana hizi, mpe, mweleze, ukitumia pombe sana kuna liver cirrhosis. Ukitumia pombe sana, this is what going to happen. You're going to lose focus, you're going to do this, you're going to be addicted. Mpe reasons. Wacha kumpea tu ati inakuanga. Give him the reasons. Give him or her the reasons why you are saying it's not good to use drugs. With that one, utakuwa msaidia kuliko kumgombanisha tu ama kumgombanisha ama mweleze sababu. Let your kid know why you are saying no to drugs. Another thing that is making students to use drugs is lack of positive attitudes, or lack of positive alternatives. Yeah, lack of positive alternatives. Like hobbies, like sports. Yeah, unapata kijana hakuna kitu kingine anapenda. Yeah, so the way kijana amelelewa, hakulelewa hata church, hakulelewa na kitu yenye naweza anaweza fanya alternatively kuliko kutumia drugs. You know, there are some guys who come from families that there's no God. There's no God setup. So wakati jamaa ako idle, hajaiona, can I go to church? What can I do? Can I engage myself in something else that is better? Can I do my hobby? So this kid lacks something to do. Alternatively, there's nothing that he does or she does. Umetoka tu premo, boarding, high school, boarding, ukiwa hata hakuna sports yenye ulikuwa una engage, you are not engaged in any sports, you are only in on books. Books and books only. Then you are made it to university. Universities studies are not that serious. So you lack alternative. What are you supposed to do? Yes, I'm idle. What am I supposed to do? I've read, the day is over. What am I supposed to do? You end up going to a bar. You end up meeting with friends who will influence you to drugs. I'm advising guys, ingia at a gym. Don't lack something to do that's an alternative. Join a church choir. Yeah, join university game at a badminton, anything that you can do that will help you, so that you don't waste a lot of time, and also you engage yourselves into drugs. Also, economic constraints makes students to engage into drugs. Yeah, either as drug peddlers, wanaweza kuuza because ili kujisaidia, unapata mtu anauza ndiye aanza kujisaidia because economically ako chini. Umaskini unafanya wanafunzi waingie to drugs because ndio wauze upate pesa. So that's another thing that is really leading to students engaging into drugs. Also, you need to also learn that the government is also to blame. Government is to blame. Why am I saying this? When government officials stands in front of students and say that we don't have jobs for you even if you graduate, you are killing the morale of those students. These students are becoming hopeless because they look onto you. Give them hope. Tell them to wait. It's better than telling them you don't have jobs. If you tell them don't have jobs, these students will go to drugs. They will lose hope and say, oh, there's no jobs. That's why even if I read very strong, but there's no jobs. So government be vigilant. Also, the government can come up with courses that talk about drugs in universities. Let the courses, some units that talk about drugs. When those units, yes, then talk about drugs. If they talk about drugs, at least they can influence, they can create awareness among the students, yeah, so that they can help these students from engaging to drugs. Also, the government should ban bars near universities. If you have 50% of students, now 50% of students get into drugs, then we don't have a future. You have to look for ways, measures that in universities, in student centers, you should not selling drugs. Yeah, that's the truth. It should not be there. Kabisa. Therefore, that one can help. That one can help the students from engaging to drugs. And that one is also a way. Another thing that is making these students to engage into drugs, idleness. University students are very idle. And university education seems to be very easy. When you compare to 8-4, the high school, in the high school education, this university is very easy. So the students are very idle. So it's very good for university, for the government, for example, to engage into even to national youth service. Yeah, waingie hapo kidogo, wakuwe engaged so that wakuwe mind kuwe very strong kuliko engage into drugs. So thank you so much. Those are some of the reasons why the students are engaging into drugs and some of the solutions on how you can help them. Look 1 or 2, 3, and then you can help that one. You can help 1 or 2 students in this country. Thank you so much for engaging, for supporting, and listening. God bless.